and welcome back to another episode of Spill the Plot. Thank you so much for being here for another episode, and today is so exciting. We actually start our first episode for our book club read of The Deal by Elle Kennedy. I am so excited. If you have not been here before, kia ora, hello, my name is Bailey, and I started Spill the Plot because I love reading, I love all things media, and why not? Literally just why not make a podcast so I can yap and make a community with people, which has been so far so incredible. I've met so many cool people. So yeah, but before we get into it, I do want to say being back with like Hannah and Gareth in this world is just, oh, I'm so happy. If you don't know, I didn't read the books before I watched Off Campus, and I loved the show. So being back with these characters, even just all the boys, Ellie, who else am I missing? Just everyone included in the book and the TV show, just chef's kiss. Like, it's just been so incredible. One thing I do want to say though is how different the book is compared to the show. It's crazy. There are so many differences, which we will talk about as we summarize our last 20 chapters. But it's really interesting that you get to see how things can be different for a book and work and flow for a book compared to a TV show where the flow is a little bit different, and how they changed it slightly just to meet that, I guess, flow for the TV show. I don't know, it's just interesting and really, really interesting concepts that they've changed from the book to the TV show. So excited to get into it. Let's just crack off with our summary. So our basis for the summary at the moment, we have met everybody we need to. We've met Hannah, who is our main character, and she, honestly, I can only picture Ella Bright, I believe that's her last name, the one who is actually in the TV show. I can only picture her, the way that they talk about Hannah and just her vibes and her brightness. That's just what I picture as. Like, I just can't get it out of my head. I can't see anyone else playing her. And then we meet her roommate slash best friend, Ellie, and Ellie is fantastic. We get to know her. She's kind of this like badass girl, does not care in the world about like being naked in front of Hannah, those kind of things. Like, she's just badass. She does not care at all. And she's got her boyfriend Sean, which she sees off and on, but she is quite busy, and she is super into drama, which we find out in the book as well. Then we meet Gareth, Graham, and the rest of the boys. So we meet Dean. I think his name is Dean Hayward De Laurentiis in the book, which is crack up because they say they don't call him De Laurentiis because his last name is Hayward De Laurentiis, which, I don't know, it's funny to me because in the show they do just call him De Laurentiis. But anyway, we meet Dean. We also meet Tucker and Logan, which they are called by their last names because both of their first names are John. So just to differentiate and have no confusion, they have Logan and they have Tucker. Dean is sort of this bad boy, hooks up with lots of girls, whereas can't commit to anyone, whereas Logan is a little bit more reserved, and Tucker is sort of like the mum of the house. He looks after them, cooks for them, cleans for them. If you've watched the show, obviously same, like he's just very mum of the group, kind of like just looking after every single one of them, which is like such a cute dynamic between all of them because they just kind of all gel really well in their little boys frat, or it's not even a frat, it's like a flat that they all live in. We also learn about Gareth's father, and we sort of get to know about Hannah's little crush on a boy, and they decide to help each other along the way. And Hannah and Garrett make their own decisions and they have bets with each other. It's a whole thing, but I really want to get into every single chapter because, like I said, I've loved being back in this world and with each character, and it's really interesting to see the difference between the TV show and the book. So let's jump into chapter 1. So we're in chapter 1. Like I said, we get introduced to Hannah first. So we're in Hannah's POV, which is really cool. We jump between the two. We jump between Hannah's POV and Gareth's POV, which is really cool. And it is set in the philosophical ethics class where the teacher is talking about a makeup test for everyone who received a C- or lower. This is where we learn Hannah is really smart because she got an A on this paper. And then she spots Justin Cole, who is her dreamy crush. And in the book, he's a rugby player, which is such an interesting concept. If you've seen the TV show, he is a musician like she is. So interesting change and dynamic between that. I actually prefer him, I think, as a musician because then there's a different dynamic between Gareth and Justin, because now in the book they're both jocks, and I don't know how I feel about that. I just feel like it's cooler that there's like this different dynamic, someone who's more like her, likes to do the things she does compared to someone who doesn't like to do the things she does. And so there's almost like this split between the two in the show, whereas in the book they're both jocks, which, like, if we're thinking of stereotypical jocks as like these big mans with big egos. So interesting take. Then we meet Ellie, and I have here in brackets, she is a queen. Obviously, I know from the show she's a queen, but I already feel it. Like this book, she's going to be just as spicy and just as gorgeous. We also learn that Hannah is quite antisocial. She prefers to lay low. She says she believes gossip is beneath her, and she uses Gareth Graham as an example of being like big ego, like people are in love with him, and she just doesn't want to be around it. Hannah then tries to say hi to Justin or do anything on her way out of class, but she pussies out and just nods at him. Like, she's just like, hey. That's so awkward. And then we switch to Gareth's POV, and he failed the ethics paper and he's upset because his failing grades means no more hockey. Gareth tries to describe Hannah as she walks past him and asks if he's okay. It's funny. So she like walks past and he's like trying to just like describe her in detail, and his internal dialogue in this part is so funny. Like, he's trying to remember her name and he keeps saying N names, and he's very stuck on Mona and Molly, I think. Like, quite stuck on, I don't know where the M came from, but yeah. But she walks past him and she's like, hey, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, all good. So they walk out of class, and the clumsy klutz that she is, Hannah trips over and her papers fly everywhere. Gareth notices her midterm on the floor and realizes she got an A, and he mentions to her about acing it. Like, he's like, you aced that. And Gareth attempts his luck at asking her to tutor him so he can ace the midterm too, because he needs to fix his grades for hockey. Hannah shoots him down though and explains due to her busy schedule she won't be able to do it. In this part, I really enjoy the flirty banter between them from the get-go. Hannah definitely isn't trying to flirt with Gareth, but because Gareth is flirting with her, there's sort of like this like apprehensive banter, flirtiness between the two of them, and it's happening very naturally, which I love. And then we jump into chapter 2. In chapter 2, Gareth heads home and we meet his roommates / friends / teammates. So like I said, we meet Tucker, Dean and Logan, and we learn that, like I said before, Dean likes to play around with girls and truly does it everywhere except his bedroom. Gareth mentions to the boys that he's been at study group, and they tell him there is a surprise in his room waiting for him. When he gets upstairs, he notices that someone is waiting for him in his room, and it is Kendall. She is his hookup buddy, per se. And oh my gosh, yeah, I wrote here, yikes, I forgot how quickly this book gets steamy because they don't go into depth, but it does start off quite steamy. Anyway, they hook up, and the book jumps ahead an hour later, and Kendall starts to get all cuddly, and she says, "I missed you, baby." Yuck. Oh my gosh. Yuck, 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 yuck. Gareth starts to get a bit weird because he doesn't really feel that way about Kendall. So he tells her that this is not what this is because she's barely wanted to get to know him. And on top of that, he wasn't looking for a girlfriend. And he feels a bit weird because he also thought he made it very clear that's not what he wanted. He didn't want a girlfriend. He just wanted to hook up. That was all it was. And so Kendall gets a bit upset by this, and she says she can't hook up with him anymore, which doesn't really faze Gareth, but she's quite upset. Then Gareth heads downstairs and mentions to Logan about his fail in ethics, and Logan says that he needs to fix his grade and do whatever he can to do it. He even offers to pay for Gareth's tutor. So we get to see this side of Logan where he's very protective about his friends, but also very protective about hockey and how he needs every single player to be at their best and needs to be on the ice ready to play, which is a really interesting concept to see. You know, such a supportive best friend being like, I need you on the ice, so you need to do whatever you can to, fix this. You need to fix this, which I thought it was kind of interesting, like an interesting concept in the book. Then we head into chapter 3. We are with Hannah at her showcase rehearsal and learn about her annoying group. Mainly one person in particular. Her name is Cass. She is trying to change things, and she's also making Hannah feel bad about her busy schedule. Then she heads back to her dorm where she shares a room with Elle. So like I introduced Elle before, so she actually shares her dorm room with her. And Elle mentions a party that she really wants to go to and wants Hannah to come along. Well, she kind of forces Hannah to come, which I think is cute. She means well. She's not forcing her to make her feel bad. She's forcing her because she wants Hannah to be more social and interact more. And this is the part where we learn about what Hannah went through at high school, which she really wants to move past, but she still doesn't like to drink when out due to her experience of her drink being spiked in college and her being sexually assaulted after said spiking of drink. Elle keeps pushing her because Hannah promised to be more social with her this semester, so Hannah begrudgingly says yes. And then Elle also mentions that she's happy because she didn't have to play her trump card, which was that Justin is going to be there. So if you don't remember, Justin is the one that she's having like little dreamy crush on. And so Elle tells her that she's going to help her talk to Justin on Wednesday at the party. Like she has to talk to Justin. Then Hannah's phone goes off and it's Gareth messaging her. Hannah finds out he found her number on the study group sign-up sheet. This is crack up, like her internal dialogue about this part, her being like, how the heck did he get my number? Like, what the heck? But yeah, she questions him and he says the sign-up sheet for study group. And he tries to persuade her into tutoring her, but Hannah lies and says she's sick. Then, just when Hannah thinks she's got rid of him, he sends a photo of his chest. She tells him that it's not going to work and that she's going to post it on the campus social media, where he just responds with big-headed energy and he's just like, all girls will love that. Like, I'm sure no one's going to complain. But it's just funny, like, he is such a jock. Like, he thinks that sending a photo of his abs is going to get her to be like, yes, I will tutor you, because most girls would take that bait. Like, that's like what he thinks. He's like, the girls are going to take this bait. Like, girls love me. Rah. Ugh. Chapter 4, Hannah is at work, and 30 minutes before closing, Gareth comes in, which annoys Hannah because he won't give up. They once again flirty banter back and forth about her becoming a tutor for him to help get his grade up. And then he gives her nickname, which he calls her Wellesley. Then, after shutting him down multiple times, she walks back to one of the girls she works with who fangirls over Gareth, basically calling Hannah crazy for not taking up the tutoring gig for him because he's super good looking. Hannah then says that she can take that table so she doesn't have to deal with him again, which makes the girls super excited. Like literally example A of like a girl being so excited for him. Ugh, silly. Like I get what Hannah means. She doesn't really care for those kind of things, and it's actually interesting. It's really interesting to see that dynamic. Then we swap to Gareth's POV, and his internal dialogue about Hannah is he talks about how gorgeous she is and what he thinks about her in that way. Like I know at this point it's very like thinking with his other head at the moment, but he is just, there's just something about like the way he thinks about her and the way he talks about her and his internal dialogue. Like he is infatuated by the way she looks and doesn't really know her yet. So it is just looks. So the other girl that Hannah gave Gareth's table to, she heads over to the table and she asks them if they would like anything else, but they say no. And Gareth says that he just wants to know when Hannah will be off. He is like super clearly not into this girl, which makes her a bit disappointed. Like he's just asking for Hannah and she's there like, can I help you? Do you want anything? And then as Hannah is leaving, he catches up with her again and asks again about tutoring, but this time asking what she wants in return, hoping she will say yes if she wants something back from him. He even offers himself to her for popularity gains on her end, but she shuts him down once again and walks away from him. And I actually wrote here, I actually adore her stubbornness. Like this is so, like, she does not care for like jocks or popularity. She does not care for this man who girls drool over. She's just like, so like, I don't have time for you. I don't want to, like, I know what jocks are like. You're big-headed. I don't want to, I love it. She's so stubborn. And then we head into chapter 5. Hannah goes to the party with Ellie, but she tells Ellie to leave her to hang with her boyfriend Sean because she hasn't seen him in a while. So they get to the party. Sean's there. Ellie's like, I've promised to come with you. And Hannah's like, no, go hang out with Sean. You haven't seen him in ages. Hannah then ends up meeting Jimmy for a class they're in together, and they just start talking about Gareth, and she mentions how they aren't friends and she finds him insufferable because of his ego. Like I said before, she knows, she can tell from a mile away, this man is popular, his ego is big. And then we learn that Gareth's father is a famous hockey player. So as they're talking, this guy mentions that don't you know who Phil Graham is? Like, that's Gareth's dad. And then Ellie comes back to her and asks how the night's going, but Hannah mentions she might go home. But just as she says that, guess who walks through the door? Justin Cole. And at that very moment, her plans change. She's like, oh, well, never mind, I'm staying. As Ellie and Hannah talk about her crush on him, Ellie notices Gareth staring at Hannah. She questions her about it, so she explains the whole wanting a tutor situation. Hannah ends up going to the bathroom, and on her way out, she bumps into Justin, which sparks a conversation between the two of them. They introduce themselves to one another, talk about class, and talk about rugby. Their conversation is then interrupted by his friends telling him to play beer pong. So they're like, come on, like, they're like, Justin, come on, like, let's play beer pong. Then Gareth comes over to talk to her, and once again they talk about tutoring. He just will not give up, which once again she pushes back on. Gareth then explains the type of person that Justin is and how he's happy to help her, kind of saying, Justin kind of goes for girls that are unavailable, that are already taken, that are popular. So he's offering his services by being like, if you hang out with me, I can help you get him. Like, he will want you if you're with me. But once again, she pushes back on it and says no, especially when he offers to be her fake boyfriend just to try to get him to be jealous. Hannah continues to say no, but Gareth ends up offering her a ride home, which after a bit of fuss, she just agrees on. She's like, okay, yeah, get me out of here. Then chapter 6, on the drive home, Hannah admits to having a crush on Justin. So after saying no, she doesn't have a crush, she doesn't like him, she admits to it. And Gareth gives the option of being her fake boyfriend, again, to make him jealous, because he sort of is like the type of person to to want what he can't have, basically. So being her fake boyfriend because he's popular and he's another jock, Justin will definitely want her. And he's basically saying he'll be more interested in her because she's with Garrett, like I said. So she finally agrees to tutor him if he helps her with getting a date with Justin Cole. Gareth drops her off to her dorm and they exchange details so she can go to his for tutoring. Then we go to chapter 7. Hannah heads to the flat and is met with Garrett's roommates who are acting really weird about like her being there to see Gareth. Gareth comes down and tells everyone that she is his tutor, not a hooker. Like they thought she was a hooker. You're joking. You're joking. Logan then pulls Hannah aside and tells her that she needs to make sure Gareth passes the midterm. So he's like, please, like, you need to make sure my boy passes that midterm. We need him out there. Like, we need him on this ice. So Hannah and Gareth go to his room and start to study in his room, going through the topics for ethics. Before Hannah leaves, she goes to the bathroom, but as she goes to leave, she notices Gareth is on her phone going through her music. By the way, that would have pissed me off. Like, you've offered your help to this man and then you are tutoring him, you go toilet, come out, and he's on your phone. Like, that's weird. Anyway, he makes fun of her for listening to One Direction, and Hannah's internal dialogue in this part is so funny. She wants to pull her hair out because of how annoying he is. I just write here, lol. Chapter 8. Hannah heads to Gareth's place again for another study night, and she notices all of the guys aren't home except for Gareth, which he explains, well, it's a Friday night. Duh. Gareth asks why she's all grumpy, and she explains the story about choir and how Cass wants to make changes to their group song that she doesn't agree with. Gareth asks Hannah to sing him a song, which she does, and oh, this part is so cute. Gareth is awestruck and says she should be singing a solo. That's how incredible her voice is. Wait, guys, this part is so, like, the way that it's explained and the way that he like talks about the way her voice is so cute. You know, like when you get like so much cuteness, it's like, that's how I feel. Hannah and Gareth finish up their study session, and when she gets back to her dorm, she notices Gareth has texted her. And I've literally put in here page 79 because I am going to refer to it because this is so cute. So bear with. Okay. So he says, confession, I deleted all the One Direction from your phone when you're in the can. You're welcome. She replies back with, what? I'm going to kiss you. He says, with tongue, question mark. She goes back and says, kill you. I meant kill you. Damn autocorrect. And he goes, sure, let's blame it on the autocorrect. She goes back and says, shut it. And he goes, I think someone wants to kiss me. And they go back and forth with a little bit more cheeky banter. But that part right there, that is so good. When I read that part, I giggled out loud. I wish this was like sort of in the show a little bit because this is so crack up. Like, we've all had issues with autocorrect, but I don't know. This is just, I'm going to kiss you. It's so good. Anyway, at the end of this chapter, just finishing it off, Ellie notices Hannah looking all giddy and smiling at her phone, so she asks if it's Justin. But Hannah tells her no, it's Gareth, and Ellie presses her. She's like, are you guys friends? And Hannah's kind of like, yeah, I guess so. We are friends. Then we head to chapter 9. Gareth is playing a game against St. Anthony's and it's not going very well. I didn't really write in detail the game because, we want the romance, not the game. So, anyway, game not good. And then Gareth continually makes internal dialogue about his dad and we get to understand that they don't have a very good relationship. Then Logan sits down on the bench next to Gareth and asks if he's hooking up with Hannah, which he tells him no. She is just his tutor. And then he says something along the lines of her being fair game, and this makes Gareth kind of angry, and he holds it in internally, doesn't outwardly get angry at them, but we can kind of see this almost like jealousy spark, or almost him being like, no, she's off limits, no. Then we head into chapter 10. Hannah is on a phone call with her mum talking about money for school, home, and crushes. We also learn that after what happened to Hannah at the party when she was in high school, there was a major backlash on her and her family, which resulted in her parents being targeted as well. So when she spoke out about the sexual assault that happened to her, there was a major backlash against her family, which, sorry, can I just say that's freaking crazy? Like, I know this is a book and I know this is fake, but that pissed me off. That pissed me off, honestly. Very, very angry. I was on cuteness aggression. Now I'm just angry. Anyway, once she's off the phone with her mum, Elle pops her head in and asks if she wants to grab some breakfast. Hannah breaks the news to her about not being able to go home for Thanksgiving, and they chat about Ellie's plans to go to New York. So Hannah can't go to Thanksgiving, she can't go home, and she's like, there's always Christmas, and Ellie then says, like, I wish you could come to New York with me. And she said that, I would have so paid for your flights, but she had paid for something else recently, which made her a little bit broke. And we also learn a bit more about Hannah's last relationship and how her and Devin, her ex-boyfriend, had incredible chemistry, but she couldn't orgasm with him, and he was really patient with her, but he came tired trying with no success, basically. Then we head into chapter 11. Hannah goes over to Gareth's for another study session. They started talking about Gareth's upbringing and how he got into hockey. After the study session, Hannah takes Gareth up on a suggestion to order pizza and watch Breaking Bad, which they do for so long that they lose track of time. They get to know each other a bit more, telling stories about their lives and things about each other's families. She also mentions to Gareth about not being able to go home for Thanksgiving, which she's quite upset about. And this part is like so cute. Like, they're just sitting and bantering about life and just getting to know one another. When they check the time, they realize how late it is, and Gareth offers to Hannah, you can crash here, which she agrees because she's like, I don't really want to catch a taxi at this time. So we head into chapter 12. Gareth wakes up in the morning to find Hannah snuggled up to him and has his arms around her. So at some point in the night, they started cuddling. Yes, love this. Anyways, Hannah gradually wakes up. She realizes... I wrote... This is so good. Sorry. When Hannah's waking up and she realizes that she can feel his hard banana in the morning. Oh my goodness. Hannah is all flustered and she tells Gareth he needs to be ready to take her home before the other boys in the house wake up. But, Gareth is like, it's just, I think he mentions, like, he calls it his chub. He calls it morning chub. I'm sorry, what? Anyway, Gareth does exactly what she said, gets ready and takes her home. Later in the day, Hannah heads to class, and on the way into ethics, she bumps into Justin, who starts to talk to her. He mentions that he was looking for her at the party after he played pool, but she was already gone. He then questions her about going home with Gareth, but she just brushes it off and says they're just friends. As their conversation goes on, and Justin begins to flirt, it seems like he's about to ask her out. But Gareth comes in and interrupts their conversation, saying he bought a coffee for Hannah. At the end of class, Hannah heads out towards Justin, but Gareth stops her, saying she has piqued his interest, but now needs to hang back. Being like, you've got him interested in you, but don't be too available. That's kind of where he was going with that, I guess. They also both decide to postpone studying due to their long binge watch of Breaking Bad the night before. Hannah heads to rehearsal after class and finds out one of the people of the group isn't coming. Who is it? None other than Cass. And she gets really annoyed by this and talks to the other group members, but it seems Cass bought their likes, in a sense. So I put in brackets, in a sense. Then we head into chapter 13. Gareth is sitting in the kitchen working through a practice paper that Hannah graded for him. The boys come in and they have weird boy banter between one another. Like, that's all I wrote, just weird boy banter and then ... because, I don't know, it was just weird boy banter. And that's sort of it for the chapter. Like, that ends that chapter. Then we head into chapter 14, and Hannah meets Ellie and her boyfriend Sean while working at the diner, and they talk about her tutoring Gareth, and Ellie asks if she can change the time because the girls on her dorm floor are having a Ryan Gosling movie marathon, and they just talk about how sexy he is, and Ellie's like openly being like, oh, he's so gorgeous in front of her boyfriend, which is so funny. And Hannah says she'll reach out to him on her break, but she has no promises. So Hannah gives Gareth a call on her break, and there is a lot of sound in the background. He mentions they invited a few people over for the game. She tells him about changing the time and that she'll be there at 7 instead of 9. And it sounds like he isn't listening to her because she keeps having to repeat herself because he's like, oh, I'll see you at 9. She's like, 7. I will see you at 7. But she ends up saying it one last time and hanging up the phone. We fast forward now to Hannah going to Gareth's house for tutoring, but the boys ask her why she's there. She mentions she is there for tutoring, but they tell her she probably doesn't want to go upstairs because he may have forgotten. By the way, if you've seen this part in the TV show, oh my goodness, this man. Anyway, Hannah walks into his room and finds a girl on top of him. Oh my goodness. And she gets furious after confirming with him multiple times that she will be there at 7. So she storms out of the house and Gareth just gets super apologetic and they're just going back and forth about arguing and having banter, but she is pissed. Anyway, chapter 15, Hannah goes over to Gareth the next day for a study session and makes a few jokes about whether or not it is safe to come in, which I love her so much. Her banter and putting him in his place is so good, which I think is one of the reasons why he kind of enjoys being around her, because she's not like every other girl. Hannah and Gareth once again talk about their lives to one another, and Gareth mentions how important hockey and his team is. And then Hannah is also talking about singing and having a plan B in life is really important because, what if your plan A doesn't work? Gareth then mentions the party they're going to together and how they may need to do some warming up, e.g. touching and kissing, because they are quote unquote fake dating. But Hannah quickly shuts him down, saying she is absolutely not kissing him. But then he says, why? Are you a bad kisser? Which she immediately says no to, but he tells her to prove it. Oh, the flirty banter is just insane between the two of them. I love it so much. So much. Then we head into chapter 16. And Hannah feels weird about possibly kissing Gareth. She keeps psyching herself out, but then she's like, you know what? It's just a kiss. It's not that deep. I'm just practicing for my date with Justin. And she gives him a quick kiss, but he says it's not enough to tell whether she's a good kisser or not. So she goes to kiss him again, and she kisses him. She cannot pull away. Hands go around bodies and through the hair. Very, very steamy kiss. And then their kiss is unfortunately disrupted by Dean. Oh, this part. Dean apologizes for interrupting, but Hannah decides to prove a point. So she goes over to Dean to get more practice and advice for her possible date with Justin. Oh, I love this part so much. The way she walked over and she just kisses him just to prove a point is so badass. I also thought it was cute how she said that there was no spark between her and Dean's kiss, whereas compared to her and Gareth, there was. She felt nothing. It was purely just to prove a point when she kissed Dean, but when it was kissing Gareth, she couldn't pull away. She was in it. I love it. Then we head into chapter 17, and Hannah tells Ellie about how she lost a bet and is now kind of dating Gareth Graham, which she freaks out about. Gareth then shows up to pick up Hannah for the party they are heading to, and he makes a comment about her top being too baggy. So earlier in the book, he mentions that she's got good tatas, is the word I'm going to use, and she should show them off more. And so he's saying, why are you wearing a baggy top? And Ellie agrees and offers some clothes for her to wear. Then we head to them at the party, and OMG, Gareth's in a dialogue about Hannah and how he can't stop thinking about the kiss. Such a man. Gareth then tries to get Hannah to have a drink, but she refuses and mentions that she is worried about what might be in her drink, but she likes to drink in her room with Ellie. She then tells Gareth about a friend who was roofied, and that is why she doesn't like to drink. Gareth responds immediately by reassuring her that he would never let that happen to her, but she doesn't really believe it. And it's not that she doesn't believe in him, it's just that he can't keep an eye on her drink 24/7. That's what she's thinking. So Gareth introduces Hannah to Bo Maxwell, and we find out that his sister is on Broadway. How cool. And then Justin turns up and Hannah starts to talk to him. So Gareth leaves them be, but bumps into Kendall, who is pissed that he is on a date after saying that he doesn't want a girlfriend or be with someone. But Gareth, mentions, again, that he doesn't want to be with her because she hasn't ever wanted to get to know him. And she's like, yes, I do. I know about you. And he's like, prove it. So he asks her what his favorite color is, and she guesses blue. But Hannah interrupts and she goes, black. And then she's like, sorry, I need to take my friend. So, which is crack up, because after we learn that it is in fact his favorite color, but she was just guessing. And she only knew because she pays attention to him. Like, it's the color clothes he wears. It's like something he's drawn to a lot. But it's cute because she pays attention to him. And it's not because she's like, just there for his popularity or his banana, like they're there. She's there for pure reasons and getting to know him for pure reasons. Gareth then persuades Hannah that they should go, even though she still wants to talk to Justin a bit more. The end of this chapter, though, there is a bit of a jealous tinge to how Gareth is talking to Hannah, where she talks about Justin, but she reality checks him and reminds him they are just friends, which he knows, but it hit him harder than he thought because he also wants to sleep with her, which he literally says at the end of that chapter. Then we head into chapter 18, and the next night Hannah has more free time because Gareth has officially finished writing his midterm. So she goes to hang out with her friends at the coffee shop. As she is catching up with her friends, Gareth messages her, and the texts are so cute. They're going back and forth about something Dean did at a party, but it's just the way that they're messaging. We're able to see just how close they've gotten with each other, and like how she kind of knows the boys a little bit better now who are important to Gareth. And so he, reaches out to her when he's at a party to giggle about something. I just think it's so cute. And we get to just see this through text. Like, oh. And then Hannah gets pulled back to reality by her friends who giggle and talk some more about gossip. And then Hannah goes to the counter and Justin appears and he asks her what's her deal with parties because she's always disappearing from him at these parties. And then he asks her straight up, are you and Gareth friends or more because you are always leaving with each other? And then, obviously, at this exact moment, guess who decides to call? Gareth. She hangs up the phone and shuts down what Justin just said, saying, they're just friends. Justin then asks Hannah out to dinner and he puts his number into her phone. And as he's finishing off putting the number in the phone, Gareth rings again, which does spark a little bit of jealousy from Justin, which is interesting. She answers the phone and Gareth invites her to drinks at Malone's, which is the diner, and the after party, and begs her to come because he will either be celebrating or crying over his midterm grade because he will be getting it that day. Then we head into chapter 19 and Hannah heads to ethics class and notices both Justin and Gareth aren't there. Gareth then messages her saying he will be late because he is cleaning up a mess for Logan. She then bumps into Justin, who asks if she wants a coffee, but she declines, and then Gareth shows up and explains he's there to see if he can get his midterm before class because he's still dealing with said emergency. And he explains that said emergency is because Logan lost his fake ID, which they need for their party that night. So he's going to go to this guy where he has to drive a bit to get it. Once he gets his paper, he finds out he got an A-. Whoop, whoop. So their homework and their study sessions paid off, and he gets super excited. He takes Hannah into her arms and lifts her up. Then he talks to her about Dean's B-Day drinks and asks if she can have a drink tonight, which is she's a bit hesitant about, but she says she will think about it. Then we fast forward to the party and Gareth asks if she wants a drink, which she says yes to, which makes Gareth happy because he really wants her to trust him. Hannah is picking a drink and she decides on a pina colada, which she thinks is super yummy. We get a bit of Gareth's internal dialogue where he talks about maybe making her his girlfriend, but then he goes, no, girlfriend's a distraction, but he doesn't want to see her with anyone else. So this is sort of like kind of like we got a little bit of jealousy earlier in the book, but we're kind of seeing now how he's actually feeling about Hannah. Anyway, after a few pina coladas, Hannah is up doing karaoke, singing her heart away, and Hannah does a few songs and the boys realize she's a really good singer. And they're like, well, duh, she's a music major. Then she has some flirty banter with Gareth again and she heads to the bathroom and Gareth hangs outside to quote unquote protect her. I say that because he's supposed to be like her security guard for the night. And then chapter 20, Tucker and Hannah have a debate about frogs and then it switches into hockey or something like that. Like the dialogue is really funny. And then a song comes on and Gareth asks Hannah to dance with him. And we come to find out that it's his mum's favourite song. Stop, this part made me so sad. So his mum has passed away and he kind of explains to her that this was a song that they played at her funeral and it was her favourite song. But the description of their dance is so cute. And just for him to ask her to like dance to, like he could just have enjoyed the song by himself, but he asked Hannah like, do you want to dance with me? Like, can you dance with me to the song? It's so cute. So cute. But then after the dance, Hannah bumps into her ex, Devon, and he's with his new girlfriend and they start to catch up a bit. But once the conversation is over, she gets a bit upset and starts to cry. Gareth immediately comes over to find out what's wrong and help her, but she just says she wants another drink. And that is the complete summary of the first 20 chapters of The Deal by Elle Kennedy. Like, if you can't tell or if you're listening, I am smiling ear to ear because I'm so happy. I love this so much. I'm actually really enjoying reading the book because I didn't really get an opportunity to read it before the show came out. And then the show came out. I fell in love with the show, but then now reading the book, it is so different, but it's so enjoyable at the same time. Like, I love both of them, even though they connect in some ways and, you know, the main plot is the same. It's just there's differences that I enjoy, some that I feel like I'm glad that they changed it for the show. For example, like I was saying before, Justin being a musician like Hannah gives that dynamic between her liking a jock and why she likes Justin so much. It just makes it a little bit more clearer in the show compared to people being like, why do you like a jock? Like, you don't like jocks. So, which is what happens in this book. I guess another difference is like all the parties and all the tutoring and what that looks like. I like that they kept the whole idea of her changing the time, coming to Gareth forgetting about tutoring and hooking up with a girl and Hannah getting mad. I like that part. That part was quite funny in the show and it's quite funny in the book. I also like that we still get the banter between all the boys and we get to know them just as well as we do in the show. I love that Hannah is just as stubborn in the book as she is in the show. She is just so like, she's just so not up for any BS and I love it. I love it so much. But that actually completes our summary for today's episode. I'm so in love with being back in this world. And with that, we are going to read up to chapter 36. So we are going to read 15 more chapters. Well, yes, 15 more chapters, which we will end on page 294. Because I really want to savor this book for a couple more episodes. So we won't finish the book in the next episode. We will do just a little bit more. And I'm really excited to keep going. As soon as I finish recording today, I'm going straight to my room to keep reading because I am loving it so much. And I am an Ellie and Dean fan, so I cannot imagine what I'm going to be like when I read their book because I don't know what their story is about compared to like off campus and knowing like what the deal is sort of about. So I'm very excited to get into the other books as well. But we will keep pushing on with the deal, and I'm so excited to see you guys again in a couple weeks with updates for our next few chapters. Again, like I said, thank you so much if you have watched all the way through, and if you are here once again, if you're new, thank you for watching, and I hope that you continue to come back and watch the rest of my episodes and watch the Twilight Book Club episodes as well and read along with those. That was such a fun time. If you're listening in the morning, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. If you're listening in the car, please drive safe. And if you're listening at night, I hope you have a wonderful sleep, and I will see you next week at the same time. Bye.